Hare Krishna, my friends. Welcome to Bhaktiville. Yay! And here we are on Friday night reading the Nectar of Devotion. Very exciting. Such a great book. So last week we finished chapter 3 and got part way through chapter 4. Tonight we'll start on page 37 of the book, or PDF page 73. And chapter 4 is titled Devotional Service Surpasses All Liberation. Today in the temple room, Kandita is here, Bhaktiville and Bhakti Grease are here. So we're all primed and ready to go. So let's get started. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at His lotus feet. Our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Dev and delivering the Western countries, which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnava devotees here of the Lord. They are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. So we say these prayers before a class. We haven't in the past, but Kandita reminded me that we should do that. We offer these prayers to give respect to our teachers and to create an atmosphere of auspiciousness, and invoke and invite all of those teachers and all of those beings around us to attend and to pay respect to the people who are here. All right, page 37 of the book, mid-page, first full paragraph. Similarly, in the same 7th canto, 8th chapter, 39th verse, when the demigods are offering prayers to Lord Nrsinga, Indra, the king of heaven, says, quote, O Supreme One, these demons talk of our share of participation in the performance of ritualistic sacrifices, but simply by your appearance as Lord Nrsingadev, you have saved us from terrible fears. Actually, our shares in the sacrificial performances are due to you only, because you are the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices. You are the supersoul of every living entity, and therefore you are the actual owner of everything. Long were our hearts always filled with fear of this demon, Hiranyakashipu, but you are so kind towards us that by killing him, you removed that fear from within our hearts and have given us the chance to place your lordship within our hearts again. For persons who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of your lordship, all the opulences which were taken away from us by the demons are counted as nothing. Devotees do not care, even for liberation, not to speak of these material opulences. Actually, we are not enjoyers of the fruits of sacrifice. Our only duty is to always be engaged in your service, for you are the enjoyer of everything. End quote. The purport of the statement by Indra is that beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, no living entities are meant for enjoying the material opulences. They are simply meant for offering everything to the Supreme Proprietor, the personality of Godhead, and by doing so, they automatically enjoy the benefit. The example can be cited again of the different parts of the body, collecting foodstuffs and cooking them, so that ultimately a meal may be offered to the stomach. After it has gone to the stomach, all the parts of the body equally enjoy the benefit of the meal. So similarly, everyone's duty is to satisfy the Supreme Lord, and then automatically everyone becomes satisfied. A similar verse is found in the 8th canto, 3rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 20. Gajendra says there, quote, "My dear Lord, I have no experience in the transcendental bliss derived from your devotional service. So therefore I have asked from you some favor. But I know that persons who are pure devotees and have, by serving the lotus feet of great souls, become freed from all material desires, are always merged in the ocean of transcendental bliss, and as such are always satisfied simply by glorifying your auspicious characteristics. For them, there is nothing else to aspire to or pray for." Unquote. And in the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam, 4th chapter, 49th verse, the Lord of Vaikuntha replies to Durvasa Muni thusly, quote, "My pure devotees are always satisfied, being engaged in devotional service, and therefore they do not aspire even after the 5 liberated stages, which are 1. To be one with me, 2. To achieve residence on my planet, 3. To have my opulences, 4. To possess bodily features similar to mine, and 5. To gain personal association with me." So when they are not interested even in these liberated positions, you can know how little they care for material opulences or material liberation. Unquote. There is a similar prayer by the Nagapatni, the wives of the Kaliya serpent, in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 16th chapter, verse 33. The Nagapatni say there, quote, "My dear Lord, the dust of your lotus feet is very wonderful. Any person who is fortunate enough to achieve this dust does not care for heavenly planets, lordship over all the planetary systems, the mystic perfections of yoga, or even liberation from material existence. In other words, anyone who adores the dust of your lotus feet does not care a fig for all the other perfectional stages." End quote. There is a similar statement in the 10th canto, 87th chapter, 17th verse, when the Shrutis, the Vedas personified, prayed to the Lord as follows, quote, "My dear Lord, it is very difficult to understand spiritual knowledge. Your appearance here, just as you are, is to explain to us this most difficult subject of knowledge of the Spirit. As such, your devotees who have left their domestic comforts to associate with the liberated acharyas, teachers, are now fully merged in the devotional service of your lordship, and thus they do not care for any so-called liberation." End quote. In explaining this verse, it should be noted that spiritual knowledge means understanding the self and the supersoul, or superself. The individual soul and the supersoul are qualitatively one, and therefore both of them are known as Brahman, or spirit. But knowledge of Brahman is very difficult to understand. There are so many philosophers engaged in the matter of understanding the soul, but they are unable to make any tangible advancement. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that out of many millions of persons, only one may try to understand what is spiritual knowledge. And out of many such persons who are trying to understand, only one or a few may know what is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this verse says that spiritual knowledge is very difficult to achieve. And so in order to make it more easily attainable, the Supreme Lord himself comes in his original form as Sri Krishna and gives his instruction directly to an associate like Arjuna, just so that the people in general may take advantage of this spiritual knowledge. This verse also explains that liberation means having completely given up all the material comforts of life. Those who are impersonalists are satisfied by simply being liberated from the material circumstances, but those who are devotees can automatically give up material life and also enjoy the transcendental bliss of hearing and chanting the wonderful activities of Lord Krishna. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 20th chapter, 34th verse, Lord Krishna says to Uddhava as follows, quote, "My dear Uddhava, the devotees who have completely taken shelter of my service are so steadfast in devotional service that they have no other desire. Even if they are offered the 4 kinds of spiritual opulences, they will refuse to accept them." There's a footnote. It says the 5th kind of liberation, merging with the Supreme, is not considered an opulence in spiritual variegated existence. So those are the 5 types of liberation that he mentioned on the page before. So what to speak of their desiring anything within the material world? End quote. Similarly, Lord Krishna says in another passage of the Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 14th chapter, 13th verse, quote, "My dear Uddhava, a person whose consciousness is completely absorbed in my thought and activities does not aspire even to occupy the post of Brahma, or the post of Indra, or the post of lordship over the planets, or the 8 kinds of mystic perfections, or even liberation itself." End quote. Excuse me. In the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th chapter, verse 6, Lord Shiva says to Devi, who's his wife, quote, "My dear Devi, this great Brahmana sage Markandeya has attained unflinching faith and devotion unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, he does not aspire after any benedictions, including liberation from the material world." End quote. Similarly, there is a statement in Padma Purana describing the ritualistic function during the month of Kartik, October to November. During this month, in Vrindavan, it is the regulative principle to pray daily to Lord Krishna in his Damodar form. The Damodar form refers to Krishna in his childhood, when he was tied up with rope by his mother Yashoda. Dama means ropes, and Udara means the abdomen. So I just want to say we learned about this connection between the ending A and the beginning U turns into an O, so it's Damodar. Just want to point that out. So Mother Yashoda, being very disturbed by naughty Krishna, bound him round the abdomen with a rope, and thus Krishna is named Damodar. During the month of Kartik, Damodar is prayed to as follows, quote, "My dear Lord, you are the Lord of all, the giver of all benedictions." End quote. There are many demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, who sometimes offer benedictions to their respective devotees. For example, Ravana was blessed with many benedictions by Lord Shiva, and Hiranyakashipu was blessed by Lord Brahma. But even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma depend upon the benedictions of Lord Krishna, and therefore Krishna is addressed as the Lord of all benefactors. As such, Lord Krishna can offer his devotees anything they want, but still the devotee's prayer continues, quote, "I do not ask you for liberation or any material facility up to the point of liberation. What I want as your favor is that I may always think of your form as I see you now as Damodar. You are so beautiful and attractive that my mind does not want anything else besides this wonderful form." In the same prayer, there is another passage in which it is said, quote, "My dear Lord Damodar, once when you were playing as a naughty boy in the house of Nanda Maharaj, you broke the box containing yogurt, and because of that, Mother Yashoda considered you an offender and tied you with rope to the household grinding mortar. At that time, you delivered 2 sons of Kuvara, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, who were staying there as 2 Arjuna trees in the yard of Nanda Maharaj. My only request is that by your merciful pastimes, you may similarly deliver me. The story behind this verse is that the sons of Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods, were puffed up on account of the opulence of their father, and so once on a heavenly planet, they were enjoying themselves in a lake with some naked damsels of heaven. At that time, the great saint Narada Muni was passing on the road and was sorry to see the behavior of the sons of Kuvera. Seeing Narada passing by, the damsels of heaven covered their bodies with cloth. The two sons, being drunkards, did not have this decency. Narada became angry with their behavior and cursed them thusly, quote, "You have no sense, so it is better if you become trees instead of the sons of Kuvera." End quote. On hearing this, the boys came to their senses and begged Narada to be pardoned for their offenses. Narada then said, quote, "Yes, you shall become trees, Arjuna trees, and you will stand at the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. But Krishna himself will appear in time as the foster son of Nanda, and he will deliver you." End quote. In other words, the curse of Narada was a benediction to the sons of Kuvera because indirectly it was foretold that they would be able to receive the favor of Lord Krishna. After that, Kuvera's two sons stood as two big Arjuna trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj until Lord Damodar, in order to fulfill the desire of Narada, dragged the milling pestle to which he was tied and struck the two trees, violently causing them to fall down. From out of these fallen trees came Nalakuvara and Manigriva, who had by then become great devotees of the Lord. There is a passage in the Hayashirsha Purana which states, "My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I do not want any resultant benediction from my religious life, nor do I want any economic development, nor do I want to enjoy sense gratification nor liberation. I simply pray to be an eternal servant of your lotus feet. Kindly oblige me and give me this benediction." End quote. In the same Hayashirsha Purana, after Nrsingadev wanted to give benediction to Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad did not accept any material benediction and simply asked the favor of the Lord to remain his eternal devotee. In this connection, Prahlad Maharaj cited the example of Hanuman, the eternal servitor of Lord Ramachandra, who also set an example by never asking any material favor from the Lord. He always remained engaged in his service. That is the ideal character of Hanuman, for which he is still worshipped by all devotees. Prahlad Maharaj also offered his respectful obeisances unto Hanuman. There is a well-known verse spoken by Hanuman in which he says, quote, "My dear Lord, if you like, you can give me salvation from this material existence, or the privilege of merging into your existence. But I do not wish any of these things. I do not want anything which diminishes my relationship with you as master and servant, even after liberation." End quote. Pandita comments, "Wonderful story and pastime," which the Hanuman pastime or the Damodar pastime? She's typing. The Damodar pastime, yes. It is a wonderful story. Back to our text. In a similar passage in Narada Pancharatra, it is stated, quote, "My dear Lord, I do not wish any perfectional stage by performing the ritualistic religious ceremonies, or by economic development, or by sense gratification or liberation. I simply pray that you grant me the favor of keeping me under your lotus feet. I do not wish any kind of liberation such as Salokya, to reside on your planet, or Sarupya, to have the same bodily features as you. I simply pray for your favor, that I may be always engaged in your loving service. End quote. Similarly, in the 6th canto, 14th chapter, 4th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Parikshit inquires from Shukadeva Goswami, quote, My dear Brahmana, I understand that the demon Vritrasura was a great sinful person, and that his mentality was completely absorbed in the modes of passion and ignorance. How did he develop to such a perfectional stage of devotional service to Narayana? I've heard that even great persons who have undergone severe austerities and who are liberated with full knowledge must strive to become devotees of the Lord. It is understood that such persons are very rare and almost never to be seen, so I am astonished that Vritrasura has become such a devotee. End quote. In the above verse, the most important thing to be noted is that there may be many liberated persons who might have merged into the existence of the impersonal Brahman, but a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana is very, very rare. Even out of millions of liberated persons, only one is fortunate enough to become a devotee. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 7th chapter, Queen Kunti is praying to Lord Krishna at the time of his departure. Quote, My dear Krishna, you are so great that you are inconceivable even to great stalwart scholars and paramahamsas, fully liberated souls. So if such great sages, who are transcendental to all the reactions of material existence, are unable to know you, then as far as we are concerned, belonging to the less intelligent women class, how is it possible for us to know your glories? How can we understand you? End quote. In this verse, the particular thing to be noted is that the personality of Godhead is not understood by great liberated persons, but only by devotees such as Queen Kunti in her humbleness. Although she was a woman and considered less intelligent than a man, still she realized the glories of Krishna. That is the purport of this verse. Another passage, which is very important, is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 6th chapter, 10th verse, and is called the Atmarama verse. So I just want to say that this verse is in the 7th chapter, 10th verse, not the 6th. In this Atmarama verse, it is stated that even those who are completely liberated from material contamination are attracted by the transcendental qualities of the Lord. And there's a footnote. This Atmarama verse was once nicely explained by Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami. There's a detailed explanation of this verse in the author's teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And I have put the Atmarama verse up on the slide viewer. Let me read that quick. Sutta Goswami said, all different varieties of Atmaramas, those who take pleasure in Atma or spirit soul, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. And there's the citation from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:7-10. And the Chaitanya Charitamrita also goes through this verse. Word by word, Lord Chaitanya goes through 61 different arguments or explanations of each word. It's fascinating to read. All right, so back to the text. The purport of this verse is that a liberated soul has absolutely no desire at all for material enjoyment. He is wholly freed from all kinds of material desires. But still, he is irresistibly attracted are the desire to hear and understand the pastimes of the Lord. We can therefore conclude that the glories and pastimes of the Lord are not material. Otherwise, how could the liberated persons known as Atmaramas be attracted by such pastimes? This is the important point in this verse. And I also wanted to comment on this, that it's very, very rare that liberated persons become devotees. I think that should not discourage you. I've heard people say that that's very discouraging, but that should not discourage you. You're here, you're reading this, so you are one of those people who is on that pathway. But don't be discouraged. All right, back to the text. From the above statement, it is found that a devotee is not after any of the stages of liberation. There are 5 stages of liberation, already explained as being 1, become one with the Lord; 2, to live on the same planet as the Lord; 3, to obtain the same bodily features as the Lord; 4, to have the same opulence as the Lord; and 5, to have constant association with the Lord. Out of these 5 liberated stages, the one which is known as Sayujya, or to merge into the existence of the Lord, is the last to be accepted by a devotee. The other 4 liberations, although not desired by devotees, still are not against the devotional ideals. Some of the liberated persons who have achieved these 4 stages of liberation may also develop affection for Krishna and be promoted to the Goloka Vrindavan planet in the spiritual sky. In other words, those who are already promoted to the Vaikuntha planets and possess the 4 kinds of liberation may also sometimes develop affection for Krishna and become promoted to Krishna Loka. So those who are in the 4 liberated states may still be going through different stages of existence. In the beginning, they may want the opulences of Krishna, but at the mature stage, the dormant love for Krishna exhibited in Vrindavan becomes prominent in their hearts. As such, the pure devotees never accept the liberation of Sayujya, to become one with the Supreme, but sometimes they may accept as favorable the other 4 liberated states. Out of many kinds of devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the one who is attracted to the original form of the Lord Krishna in Vrindavan, is considered to be the foremost first-class devotee. Such a devotee is never attracted by the opulences of Vaikuntha, nor even of Dwarka, the royal city where Krishna ruled. The conclusion of Sri Rupa Goswami is that the devotees who are attracted by the pastimes of the Lord in Gokula or Vrindavan are the topmost devotees. And there's a footnote about Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the transcendental place where Krishna enjoys his eternal pastimes as a boy, and it is considered the topmost sphere in all existence. When this is exhibited in the material world, the place is called Gokula, and in the spiritual world, it is called Goloka, or Goloka Vrindavan. Bhakti says, I would like at least 3 of those. I'll take 3, please. But we've been reading. The devotees just want to see Krishna. All right, back to the text. The devotee who is attached to a particular form of the Lord does not wish to change his devotion to other forms. For example, Hanuman, the devotee of Lord Ramachandra, knew that there is no difference between Lord Ramachandra and Lord Narayan, and yet he still wanted to render service only unto Lord Ramachandra. That is due to the specific attraction of a particular devotee. There are many, many forms of the Lord, but Krishna is still the original form. Though all of the devotees of the different forms of the Lord are in the same category, still it is said that those who are devotees of Lord Krishna are the topmost in the list of all devotees. Let's So I want to read Kandita's comment here. She says, that's interesting. A person can become promoted from his or her position in Vaikuntha up to a higher, more intimate platform. So we can change even after being completely purified. It's flexible. Yes, that's what he says here. That's what he says here. And I want to end with this, that all of these descriptions, these different prayers that we've just been reading, not wanting to merge and not wanting to these different things, is the idea of sugar, that we want to taste the sugar, not be the sugar. And to me, that just summarizes the whole idea of rasa and all of that. And we want to taste the sugar, not be the sugar. So, any questions, comments? Pandita is amazed by that. Not the sugar thing, but the Vaikuntha transformations. Yes, I was happy to read that also. So Ekadasi is tomorrow. And yes, it was a good catch. Bhakti says, thank you for the comment. It was a good catch. Great catch. Next chapter is purity of devotional service. So we have so many things to look forward to in this book. I love this book. Have a wonderful week, my friends. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.